A flooded home or business is never easy to deal with. The memories that are lost that you cannot replace. And Aquadam can be another tool in your arsenal to protect your home or business from the hurricane storm surge or the king tides. Look us up online at aquadam.net or give Aquadam a call at 707-764-2119. We can help.
Consider advertising on the Opperman Report. We have excellent advertising rates for you. The advertising rates are very affordable. Once your ad goes up and we play the show on the podcast and on the YouTube channel, those ads stay up there forever. And then we play repeats every single night of classic Opperman Report shows. And your new ads will be inserted into those repeats that play every single night. So the saturation is incredible, and the rates are very affordable. Contact me at oppermanreport@gmail.com. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com, or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Contact KMD Law. Emailrevealer.com. Go to emailrevealer.com. We handle adoption investigations, infidelity investigations, email tracing, locate or identify somebody from as little as an anonymous email address. Someone owe you money? Back child support? We can find that deadbeat and even assist you in obtaining a judgment and recover that judgment for you. Emailrevealer.com. Digital forensics, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages. Create a report that you can use in court. Emailrevealer.com, 800-572-9762. Hey guys, if you like the show and you want to show your support, check out the Opperman Report Patreon. We have all the shows that you hear Monday through Friday on AM/FM radio, but we cut out the ads, so you can hear that content ad-free. The Opperman Report Patreon, you should stop there once a day and check out what's going on over there. That's Opperman Report Patreon.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I am your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting. Should make a little song out of that. Just email me directly at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. If you like our show, be sure to check out our Patreon. Now listen, I know I say that. I know I say to you, hey, check out the Patreon, but this time I really mean it. If you go to the Opperman Report Patreon, you will find, let me go to it myself and I'll find it with you. First of all, a nice little conversation I had with Jamie Deluxe about a lot of gossip and scandal and things. We replayed all the stuff, 3 hours worth of the shows with David Whelan about the killing of John Lennon, because his John Lennon book just came out. And I'm in the book. So, they mentioned me in my John Lennon story about Mark David Chapman coming to 9 Bleecker Street the weekend of the murders there. So you can check that out. And we have all 3 shows I did with David Whelan. I wanted to do more shows with David Whelan. I don't know what's going on with him. I invited him to come back another time, and he made some remark about, I've stopped doing podcasts. Yeah, okay. All right. We sell books, man. I tell you this, man, this show sells books. There's no doubt about that in my mind whatsoever. I've seen the numbers. I've seen the links on Amazon. Dan Lawton, Above Ground, The True Story of the Troubles in Ireland, in Northern Ireland. Now, that's an excellent story, an excellent book. This guy's an attorney from Las Vegas. And he was involved in this fellow here who was had some connections to the IRA, but really not. And there was a murder, and he tried to set him up for it. Then he went on the lam. They had him in that Mays prison over there, torturing him. because he was involved in the death of a cop, so he got really bad treatment in there, and he escaped, and then they proved he was not guilty. They vindicated him. Opperman Report exclusive interview on the Southern Baptist Church sex abuse. This is actually an interview I did a couple of years ago, or at least a year ago, with an actual person who was potentially going to be a client in a lawsuit. And I said to him, hey, we'll tape it. If we can get you a case, we'll use it for a case. The guy's got a great case. I would love to proceed with this. But anyway, we took a statement down as partially as a radio interview and partially as you can. This is how I would do a vetting out a client. So that's in the member section there too. Incredible story too. What happened to him. Then we have some free stuff. A really big show coming up on Promise Software and Inslaw Software. That whole story, the Danny Casolaro stuff, the octopus they called it. I'm going to give you a show on that like never before, all right? And I'm able to get it because the people involved know me and know my reputation, respect what I do. So we're very, very lucky to get that. And that's what you get when you put in 10 years of hard work and hard, serious work, and you don't crimp corners and you don't fudge the truth. And you don't waste your time with foolishness. Okay? That's the kind of stuff I can bring you. Like tonight I'm bringing you, speaking of not bringing you foolishness, David K. Johnston returns to the show. Now, the reason he came back is because he saw me talking about the helicopter pilot, the Trump helicopter pilot, on TikTok, and I had tagged his name, and he saw that, and he contacted me to come back on the show. And some great stuff there, man. We talk about the recent litigations. We talk about the helicopter pilot. There's some new things I learned there. And then we talk about, in the middle of the show, out of the blue, he blurts out, oh, and Trump used to comp these teenage kids to his casino in Atlantic City and comp them drinks and comp them rooms. And they were 15, 16-year-old kids. Out of the blue. Took me by shock. Okay, I didn't even know how to react to it. I'm going to have him come back and flesh that out a little bit more. You gotta know what you're doing with these guests. Like a lot of times I'll be talking to a guest and I'll ask them a question because I'm feeling them out on something. And then a listener will listen to the interview and says, oh boy, Ed wasn't expecting. Ed was hoping he was going to say this, or Ed was hoping. And you have no idea. It's a shame what goes over the heads of so many of the listeners. Just goes flies right over their heads, man. And it's a shame. You're missing out on a lot here. If people would just pay more close attention. But I guess I don't know. I'm deep into this. I'm paying close attention. So we have a document up there that I got from Ted Rubenstein years ago, okay, and it's about Bill Weld, the governor of, I forget where he's governor of, but he was a U.S. Attorney General at one point, and he ran for president against Clinton in 2016 on the Libertarian Party. So we've had this way back since then. It talks about him being involved in selling the Promise software into Saudi Arabia, Adnan Khashoggi being involved and laundered the money through Credit Suisse. We've had this for quite a while, and then we lost it. I couldn't find it again. But now I'm deep into this whole Promise Inslaw stuff, and I can promise you guys are going to be very excited when I have a whole bunch of documents, too, I want to be putting up, too, as well. Shortly. You know who was involved in all this, too? Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, as well as Khashoggi and the usual cast of characters and suspects. So you're going to be hearing some things you haven't heard before in there. Dave Wedge, The Last Days of John Lennon, another one. David K. Johnston. Great stuff. And by the way, David K. Johnston's a legit guy, too, man. When it comes to his support of unions and taxing the rich and not taxing the poor and fair taxes and fair economic justice for people. He's the real deal. Shadow Diplomacy, Lev Parnas, Wild Ride from Brooklyn to Trump's Inner Circle. Now, Lev Parnas is scheduled to testify this week in the Hunter Biden stuff and the Biden impeachment stuff. Okay, and I got him on the show. Okay, I've been talking to Lev Parnas for a long time. All right, the interview is great. He blew me away. He mentions, you know how I was always talking about that coup attempt that Rudy Giuliani had these clients that were coke dealers and money launderers, and that Trump had this private security guards, and they put together this coup attempt in Venezuela, and that it was put down by the angry fishermen in Venezuela. Okay, that's how spectacular this coup was, and they were funneling billions of dollars to that Guaido character. Lev Parnas was up to his neck in that whole thing, man, and when and he wanted to just breeze over it, man. And when I said, I think he was a little shocked how much I knew about that. And we talk about Hunter Biden laptop stuff too as well. I think he was a little surprised how much I knew about that. But Lev Parnas, okay, is the real deal. Okay, this guy knows a lot. He was in there deep, man, in Ukraine. We didn't get into Ukraine stuff hardly at all because we were just talking about so many other topics. Great guest. Great content, kind of stuff that you're only going to find here, man, because you want to know why? I'll tell you why. Do you want to know why? I guess you do want to know why. It's because the stuff he has to spill, it doesn't please the Democrats on MSNBC, although when he was the most highest rated show on Rachel Maddow, and she won an Emmy over her interview with Lev Parnas. After my interview with Lev Parnas, I went down to Rachel Maddow's house and I demanded that Emmy, that she turn over that Emmy to me. But as soon as she hears the show, she will turn it over. But seriously, the Democrats don't like what he has to say, and the Republicans don't like what he says. They don't want him on MSNBC. They don't want him on Fox News. Where else does he have to go? But people like me. And I think he was very pleased with the interview. And I know for a fact we'll have him back. And he can, a lot of things. A lot of things there, guys. Okay, keeping it real. Oh, they played this old interview I did with these wrestlers, man. They put that up in the Patreon too as well. This old interview I did about this guy went to get the flu shot, wound up in the ICU. Jamie Deluxe, Murder, Mayhem, and Censorship. We talk about all his blind items and stuff like that. And he did a show recently about the rape of Laney Jane. And you might recall that we did a show with Bobby Brown about the rape of Laney Jane, her husband at the time. She's the widow of Laney Jane, which caused quite a stir. That was picked up in a bunch of heavy metal magazines and stuff like that. And I had all these heavy metal artists and their wives and things trying to contact me for whatever reason. Like, I don't know. Oh, Christian Ziegler, the Florida GOP chairman, search warrant affidavit and the Moms for Liberty rape, and also the 911 call. Now, everybody's making fun of this because the Moms for Liberty and the GOP chairman, Mr. Christian Ziegler, were involved in a threesome, a consensual threesome with this woman, right? And then they wanted to have a second threesome with her, and when she found out that the Moms for Liberty lady wasn't going to show up, there was a non-consensual sexual battery. Now, what people don't realize is, and until you read the search warrant affidavit, and for some reason this doesn't get reported anywhere because the news is just so messed up, man, the way things are done. But I tell you what I find, whether it suits my agenda or not, I just tell you what's out there and what I find. And in this case here, when you read the search warrant affidavit that a judge granted based on this affidavit information, and there's a lot in there, that this woman had diminished capacity, okay? She has a lot of problems with drug addiction. I don't want to get into her personal life, but she's got a lot of issues there that caused her. She has a diminished capacity in this. So even the so-called consensual threesome may not be consensual, okay? She may not have the capacity to consent. So keep an eye on that, okay? I'm going to bring you the truth on that. I don't think they're going to cover this up, but just stop and think, man. The GOP chair of Florida is under active investigation. Not, they're already turning over evidence. There's a search warrant. They just recently recovered the video because he took a video of the sexual encounter. That alone, man, before 2016, this guy would have resigned before this hit the press. Because his lawyers have been talking to the cops for a while. Okay, and they've been turning over evidence, they've been negotiating this behind the scenes. This guy would have resigned months ago. Back in 2000, prior to a rapist running for president. Okay? Things have changed so much, so quickly in this country. A coup attempt, all this craziness going on. 91 felony indictments on the President of the United States. Stealing secret documents, man. All this crazy stuff. You'd think this guy would resign, man. She resigned from Moms for Liberty, but who gives a damn about that? This guy's got to resign. This is outrageous. And it seems like a lot of people are demanding his resignation, except for Marco Rubio and Donald Trump. What did I tell you? Birds of a feather. So we got the and that's in the free stuff, okay? You can just go there for free. You should go to Patreon, Opperman Report Patreon. I know a lot of people think, Patreon, you got to pay to go there. No, not everything there is paid for. A lot of it's free. The documents I have on the Process Church are free. The documents I have on the Epstein 24-page letter about the Clinton Foundation, I think that's free. A lot of the court documents I just put up for free. I put up for free so that I could post it on Twitter and stuff like that. And people will find the Patreon and say, what are these other things I want to subscribe? So, go there for free and check it out. Heidi Hollis, I see Shadow People, and The Hat Man, a guide on how to get rid of them for all ages. A bunch of old stuff. Anthony Feinstein, Moral Courage. That's a great show. I talk about it both with Lev Parnas. I talked to him about it too. It was an incredible show. I can't wait to play that for you. But it's in the member section. It's about these journalists around the world who, what motivates them to risk their lives and go against all the harassment and the difficulties in reporting this kind of work. Did I play that Patty Hearst show for you yet? Because I have a great Patty Hearst show too. Roger Rappaport searching for Patty Hearst, a true crime novel. Oh boy, I got a heartburn now hitting me. So that's all the stuff in Patreon. And then don't forget our Spreaker. You go to Spreaker. I do a live show every Friday night. And there's a chat room. There you get an email notification when I put up new content. And also, too, I play repeats. Repeats. Good old Ed Parnell. God bless you, my friend. Thank you so much for everything, Ed. Play repeats every night of the week, and Fridays when the new content comes out. So when it's so confusing, when is the new show? I see repeats. I don't know when the new shows are on Friday night, like they have been for 10 years, almost 11 years. My God, it's too hard to figure out. Let's see what else is going on. I tell you, I got to tell you, I want to get this off my chest real quick. I had a guy, taped a great show today with Walter Herbst, who wrote the book It Didn't Start with JFK. And he's got some really, really good information and documents and photos. And it's going to be coming out in his next book about how there's a discrepancy in the height of Oswald. The Oswald who left the Marines was 5'11". The Oswald that went to Russia and returned from Russia was only 5'9". Okay? And we get into this and with pictures on the... anyway. Great interview. Great information. Now, I had another interview scheduled after that. And with this fellow who wrote this book. Now, when you come on this show here, you sell a lot of books, man. You're going to sell at least 30, 40 books without blinking an eye. It could be the stupidest, most boring book in the world. And there's like there's that built-in bunch that buy every book that comes on the show. But I've had people sell as many as 600 books being on this show that I know about, that I can, and then over the years, over the repeats and stuff like that, and like another 500. Okay, I know it. The publishers, the publishing companies, man, they love me, man. And these bookers, these publicists, man, they love me too. They're sending me books. I got books in it coming in the mail every day. Expensive books, by the way. You know, that book about moral courage, that's a coffee table book. That's like a $60 book. Okay, they sent me. You know, we trust me, man. We reach a lot of people here. So, you know, but it's just the complaints I get alone. Okay, I'm gonna do a whole show about my reviews and the comments I get, the crazy emails and messages, and just read them to you. I should have a whole section in the Patreon just for that. Just me reading these crazy comments and responding to them. These people are crazy. One guy's complaining he doesn't like the Friday Night Live shows, but meanwhile he knows every detail of everything. The guy's has never missed one in 10 years, obviously, to know this much about my life. But he hates it. They hate every inch of me. So this guy, right? I book with his publicist. He writes a book, and it's an interesting topic, something that's right up my alley. I would love to have him on the show. And I check him out, you know, I see he follows me on Twitter, you know, and I say, okay, I'll follow him back. And he doesn't have many followers on Twitter. Then I check out the book, and there's no reviews at all. Okay, so I know this guy hasn't sold a lot of books. So, he's supposed to come on today. I start calling him up at the designated time. He's supposed to come on. No answer. He doesn't answer the phone. So this happens a lot. You know, people, you know, they schedule an interview for 2 o'clock. They can't make it. They're out in traffic, whatever. Things happen. So when I leave a message and say, listen, don't worry about it. If we have to reschedule, fine, I'll let you know. But here's my number. If you hear this message, give me a call back. We can still tape today or, you know, whatever. I'll work it out with you. But either way, I'm going to call you back in about 10 minutes. So I call him back. He picks up the phone. And he acts like he has no idea who I am or that he has an interview scheduled today or anything like that. Oh, I was so busy because I'm a professor and I was at the finals and I was at this big meeting. It was a very important meeting just now. But I'd be happy to do an interview with you. When do you want to do it? You're like, this guy has no clue that we have an interview scheduled now for weeks. Okay, because I don't schedule this far out, but the publicists like to schedule this far out. Okay. So then I said, okay, fine, I can call you back. Well, you know, when do you want to do it? He said, well, how about a half hour from now? I call him back in a half hour. He does the same thing. He does the same, not answer the phone. You know? Okay, fine, I'll wait for him to call me. I was like, it's no skin. You're getting free advertising. It's no skin off my nose not to do an interview. When he picks up the next time, he starts insulting me. Like out of the blue. Now, I know this guy knows who I am. I know he's familiar with the show. I know, okay? I can just tell, okay? And our politics are not conflicting. We have very similar politics. There's no reason for us not to be getting along here. But I think people, they hear the show, and you know, I've been called like a scrappy PI or abrasive kind of, you know. So some kind of people think that they need to be like, well, I'm not going to let Ed push me around. I'm going to be tough right back with him. So it was just really, really weird, man. So I says, look, man, you know, I'm not going to do an interview like this because, you know, clearly, whatever, you don't like me and you're being very angry with me. And so, you know, we just won't do the interview. Okay. Thank you very much. Goodbye. But just, I don't understand why people would just sabotage themselves like that and blow their freaking interview. Now, the name of tonight's show is called, because I really couldn't come up with a name, but it's called Rewriting History. And I'll get that out of the way first. Let me see how we're doing on time. Oh, God, 23 minutes. What the hell was I talking about? I got a lot of notes here, man. There's a lot going on. But real quick, there's a documentary on HBO Max about the Fells Acre Daycare child molestation scandal. Okay, it was like back in the 80s during the Satanic Panic child, you know. And so I know there's been this effort out there to rewrite history about all these cases, man, on all these streaming channels. Now they're coming out with these quickie little documentaries. I did a whole show about the Matthew Shepard rewriting history, where, you know, they did this new documentary, they did come out and say, hey, you know what, they all were using drugs and now they all kind of knew each other, and there really wasn't the gay panic. And the beginning of what they were telling stuff that was in that Stephen, I forget his name. Stephen Jimenez wrote that great book, The Book of Matt. that really did a lot of research into this whole thing, proves this thing was not motivated by any kind of homophobia whatsoever. And they pretty much acknowledged that for the first 30 minutes. And then they bring this guy on who says, as soon as I heard this crime, I knew it was a hate crime. And they go right back into the tired old, rehashing the old myths and all the old, with the same cast of characters, Rosie O'Donnell and Ellen DeGeneres and all that tired BS. So I see this Fels-Aker thing, and I says, I wonder if they're going to do the same thing here and whitewash this story, this Fels-Aker daycare child abuse case. Because I know one of the guys did get let out early. Not because they found exonerating evidence, not because he got a new trial, not because he was pardoned. They commuted his sentence. He served 18 years, which is about standard that you get for the, it's normal. He could have done 40 years. But that's not all that unusual, to get out after 18 years on a case like this. So they start out, and remember, the fellow here who was convicted and served the 18 years, he was a bus driver and he was a handyman around the joint. And somehow, for some reason, by his own admission, he changed the kid's clothing. He undressed the kid, okay, who had supposedly wet himself, and he changed him and put him in different clothes and turned him over to the parents. He wasn't a daycare provider. He wasn't a licensed daycare provider on any stretch of the imagination. The woman who ran the joint and her daughter were also convicted in a separate trial because all the kids came forward, testified with the same exact story. Okay? A jury heard this and they found them guilty. Now, there was a witness at the trial, this expert on child interrogations or child therapy or questioning children, who said, oh, no, the kids were coached and they were all told the same story and the parents led them on, and that's why the kids, they all, for some reason, these kids all just decided just to make up this story. So the new documentary comes out and you start watching it. And it should be a musical. Okay? You know how I complain about this, about how some of these making of a murderer, and they have to put in this dramatic, emotional music in there in order to manipulate the watchers, the viewers. And when they're laying out the evidence that all these kids came out with the same stories, dun, 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 they got this hyper music. And the kids were all coaching. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, audience, we want you to feel nervous and bad and upset about the evidence these children are bringing forward because it's hinky evidence. We don't trust it. That's what we want you to think, and this is the emotions where we're trying to get out of you. And then they start showing, and they get into the whole thing about, hey, the guy's sentence was commuted. This woman came forward, she wrote an article, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's sentence was commuted, which doesn't mean he's not guilty. He wasn't found not guilty. He wasn't pardoned. He wasn't exonerated. But they let him free after 18 years. Whoa, what? This is the greatest thing. It was the most joyous day of our lives. And we met at this red. Look at us hugging it. Oh, hallelujah. Like somehow it's the greatest thing in the world that a convicted child molester was let loose free based on, well, there's this witness, there's this expert. They hired an expert who said some of these kids were coached. We're supposed to be happy over this in some way. But that's what they present to us, man. And that's man, you watch this thing, man. Maybe I'm crazy. Okay, maybe I took a nap and it was a part I missed during the show. But that's what I saw, man. I didn't see anything where it said that this guy, we should be happy that this guy's out roaming the streets. And they didn't drop the charges on his the other two people who were convicted too as well. So clearly something happened there. Now I got some news for you here you haven't heard. It hasn't been out there. You get from the opera report. I must have two windows open because this thing's not, my notes are all in two places. That's what's going on. That's what's going on here. Because the way, and let me see here if I find it over here. No. See, there's something weird going on with my notes that's happening every week. Let me see. Is it here? Yes. Judge rules that adult film star Ron Jeremy can be released to a private residence. What? Who? What? Ron Jeremy? The porn star? The Ron Jeremy who, when he got arrested for rape in 2019, like another 50 women came forward and said he raped me too, he groped me too, in the same exact bar, in the same exact room, in the same exact circumstances? We start hearing he's in jail there before trial, and he's got COVID, and he's got dementia, and he doesn't recognize his attorney, he can't stand trial. So now we're going to release him because he's so poor and sickly and invalid that he can't even get out of bed. Well, then, you know, the DA says, well, Your Honor, what if if he needs home attendants, what if he starts raping them? Because he's done that in the past. He's done that in the jail, raping his attendants. I'm not raping them, but, you know, filling them up. Well, we're going to order that he only has male attendants. That only the men have to go in there and face Ron Jeremy in his extreme perverted state that he can't control himself. But we're going to release him anyway. Because he's no harm to the public because he can't get out of bed. Weren't a lot of these rapes in bed? Yeah, but no. It's okay. Real quick, I've told the story before, but I don't think I've ever told it on my show. I've told it as a guest on other shows. I'll tell you my Ron Jeremy story. So I can get this out for you quickly. By the way, this guy was just raping right before he got arrested. I don't know how he could be such an invalid now in such a short amount of time that he's safe to be letting free. Okay? I think he has a lot of dirt on a lot of people, and he's getting special treatment. The whole thing's been shady to me from the start. Now, my connection to Ron Jeremy, it's a very short connection. I only met him on one occasion. The first time I went to Las Vegas for the Consumer Electronics Show, I guess it was around 2000. Okay, maybe 2000. No, I didn't live in Vegas. No, so it was before 2000, late 90s. And the first time I ever went to the Consumer Electronics Show, because I had the beeper company. By the way, the fact that I had a beeper and cell phone company seems to really upset some of the people in the comments. Okay. Oh, I had a beeper company. Oh, God. So, used to go out to Las Vegas for the electronics show there with all the new products, and they take you out there. And all your vendors who sell you the phones and the cases and all that stuff like that, they have booths over there. And because I had this big business, I sold a lot of cell phones, sold a lot of beepers and cases and things like that. They would treat me, take me to parties and take me to shows and things like that, out to dinner, great royalty treatment. For me and my whole staff, I would bring people out there for fun. Spent $10,000 on one trip out there just on the Bellagio suites, okay? For everyone who writes about what a failure I've been, that all my businesses failed. I don't know where people get this stuff from. Okay, it's just crazy. My beeper company had over 100 employees. At Christmas time. Just crazy. So what do you call it? So I went to the Consumer Electronics Show. This is the first time I went by myself. And I went there to the old Sands Convention Center. And there was a big line of people all going down to the bottom level. And when you got down to the bottom level, there was a paper sign at the door, and it said, Adult Software. Okay? Now they have the whole AVN Awards and this whole giant thing, and they have their own entire porn convention. But before then, it was the Adult Software Convention. And I went into this room, and it was like Caligula. I had never seen anything like this in my life, and you know me, I've been around. There were strippers everywhere and porn stars everywhere and all over the place. And as soon as you went right in, one of the first booths, who's right there, is Ron Jeremy. Okay? It was close to the entrance. And I walked through this thing, and then it turned after, I was there, it's a whole 5-6 day convention, so I was there many, many days. But what happened was the only bar where you could get a drink was down there in the adult porn convention area. So every time I wanted to get a drink, you'd have to make your way down through that crowd. And it was so packed and so crowded that to make your way down to where the bar was, all the way in the back, it took forever. And then there was a big, long line at the bar. So right away, I figured out that if I could get behind these booths, there was an alleyways in between the booths there. Like you could make a beeline, boom, 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 boom. You walk real fast, you get down to the bar, and there was no line because now you're at the back of the bar. Give the guy a $20 bill. Hey, man, oh, look, it's me again. give me a. I think I was drinking gin and tonic back in those days. So I could sneak back there real fast, get my drinks, and get back up to there, do my business, my convention business, right? Like the water buffaloes, right, at the convention. So after doing this a couple of times, Ron Jeremy sees me and he goes, "How are you getting back to the bar so fast and getting back here so fast?" And he goes, "How are you making it through that crowd so fast? I see you zipping through here in 5 minutes." And I said, "Oh, yeah, look, I'll show you. I got a little shortcut. I'll show you how I sneak through there." So I show him the spot, and I didn't kiss his ass. I don't care who Ron Jeremy is or anything like that. So now every time he sees me pass by, we're waving to each other. "Hey, Ron, how are you? It's me again." He's laughing, I'll get another drink every 10 minutes. Yeah. And so one of the times I'm coming through, and I'm stopping, and we're chatting, and these guys come over to him. This guy is a tall guy with a bald head, and he's got a long leather coat, like down to his ankles, and he's with this woman who's got those like ballerina boots, with the real high heels and the tippy toes, and she's got a chain around her neck with a collar thing, like a high collar. And so Ron knew this guy, and the guy sees me talking to Ron. He thinks I'm a friend too, or a porn star or whatever. Okay, and they start talking, and he goes, and Ron said to him, "Are you going to go to the worship later?" No, the guy first said, "Oh boy, look around here. There's a lot of amateurs around here. Oh, a bunch of amateur night. Huh? What is slave woman here on the chair?" This guy's a pro. All right. And I'm standing there, and Ron Jeremy says to him, "Are you going to go to the worship later?" And the guy goes, And Jeremy goes, "A lot of the old process people are going to be there," meaning the Process Church of the Final Judgment. So that was my ears perk up when I hear that. Now, I get a lot of grief, and people say to me, "Oh, well, yeah, everything that Opperman says you got to take with a grain of salt. Oh, who can believe, he knows all these people and does all these things. He's been all these player." I don't know what to tell you, man. But by the way, too, there's a guy in the Patreon, and he wants to hear the story about my nightclub in Manhattan, and he wants to hear my story about my time with the Gospel Tent Ministry up in Maine, and I'm going to tell those stories, up in the Patreon, okay, in a cheap section, like a $3 section for members. And I'm going to do. If anybody who's a Patreon member, if you have certain stories you want me to elaborate on, I'll be happy to come on there. But now, for people to find it so hard to believe that I have many life experiences, I apologize. I have had many, many life experiences. As far as not believing me, a lot of these things we've talked about on the air with guests, like the Yippies. AJ's been on the show many times. The Hippie Mafia guy was on the show. A lot of this stuff we've had here on the show. So unless I'm hiring voice actors to come on the show, my stuff with the Hunter Biden laptop, unless I'm hiring voice actors to come on the show, or when I had on the people from the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal about the whole Stormy Daniels deal, the people who've written books about these topics know I'm involved in these things, okay? And I would say the first thing you got to do is to get out of your house. Like a lot of people who listen to the show or other podcasters or people like that may have never been to Las Vegas. They've never been to the AVN or the adult software. So that's the first thing is you got to get out of your house. Then you have to socialize and have contact with other people in the real world. If you're just sitting home all your time Googling and researching, then yeah, it does seem unusual for another person to have had an interesting life, okay? I can't help you there, man. My advice to you is get out and do something. Life is very, very short. We had the death of Henry Kissinger last week, and I didn't get a chance to talk about it. But let me tell you something, man. And I did talk about this on social media, that I could feel the evil leave the earth when Henry Kissinger left the earth. I could feel it, okay? Like on a spiritual level. Okay. And then we had the death of Ralph Cirella from the Howard Stern Show, and the guy's 3 years younger than me, by the way, And I got my health problems too, and he just recently had his health problems, and he's gone from us now. He's taken away much too early, much too young. And feels like, just like you listen to me on the radio, I listened to him on the radio for all these years. How many years, man? Like 30 years? Feel like I know him, and it's a loss to me. I feel like a loss. But I had another loss this week. You might remember years ago, my God, about 7 years ago, Las Vegas Magazine, or one of those, or My Vegas Magazine, one of those Vegas magazines had a contest of the top 100 men of Las Vegas. And I was nominated as one of the top 100 men of Las Vegas. Now, so people, like top 100 what? Like one guy says, "Hey, Ed, weren't you one of the most eligible bachelors of Vegas?" It wasn't even that. I don't know what the hell. It was the top 100 men, the tallest men. I don't know what, But I have been on the radio in Vegas for quite a bit of time, and I was a well-known guy in Vegas, and I was nominated for the top 100 men in Vegas. And then after that, every year when that magazine would throw these parties, and I would get invited to a lot of parties and events after that too. And every Christmas, and I talked about it on the show a couple of times, where I would go to those mansion parties. And that time where I was vegan, and two of the servers were vegan too. So then, we made, common friendship over that right away. And whenever they came out with a new tray of something that was vegan, they would search the whole party for me and make sure that I got some snacks, And then we wound up outside. I don't remember, I was trying to remember this because when I got the email this week cause I got an email about the party. They're throwing another party in Vegas. I'm invited to it, but I can't go to it. I live far away now. And for some reason, I wound up with these two waitresses outside. I don't think we were smoking a joint or something like that, because they were smoking pot inside. So I don't even think I was smoking pot at that time. Maybe just for fresh air or whatever. I don't know what it was. And they were smoking those cigarettes. And some guy, was out there, and he was saying, "Oh, you're vegan. Oh, you gotta have a steak." It was one of those guys. And at one point, he was trying to flirt with the girls, and he said something about, "I drive a Lexus," And I said, "Oh, yeah, I got a Lexus, too." And meanwhile, my Lexus is like a 2011. No, it was a 2006 Lexus. I got this old Lexus, got a brand new Lexus. But these girls weren't having it, man. They weren't taking this guy at all. And I don't think I was really hitting on these girls either, because I had a date that night. I know I had a date with me. And I would never do that kind of thing. I find that very distasteful. When guys with a date and he's flirting with other girls and getting their phone numbers at a party or something like that, or vice versa, if it's a woman's doing that, I think that's very tacky, and I never do that. But we did all exchange. I didn't have a cell phone back then either, so I'm sure I gave them my business card. And very often, when I meet somebody, especially if they're younger and they're not very savvy out there in the world, and I take a liking to them, I'll hand them my card. And, it's a pretty cool card. It's, Opperman Report, Private Investigator, so all this kind of stuff. And I'll hand him my card, and I'll say, "Look, if you ever get in trouble, I want you to get a hold of me." Okay? Which is a really cool line, How many people can pull that off? And we did get together. We got together on another occasion with these two girls. And I forget what it was, and there was a third occasion, too, where we were supposed to meet up at a place, but it was a big crowded place. We couldn't meet each other. I think it was like Fremont Street. So when I saw the invite, I started thinking of these two girls, and I went looking through my emails, and I found one of them, and I went looking up on Facebook, and I see that one of these girls died. She died last year. Young, 25, 26 years old, man. Young, And she died, and people think it's a suicide. Just heartbreaking, man. So life is extremely short. Life is extremely short. And I even, know people in this business here, on a much less level than I'm doing, man, that were driven to suicide.
So, just a tragic loss of life. Let's see here. Let me see how we're doing on time. 45, okay. Anniversary of the death of John Lennon. So we played some John Lennon stuff for you. I've been working on some stuff. Some really good litigation. Okay. We have it could be as many as 20 plaintiffs, okay, in this systemic abuse of children that I'm trying to put together, And there's that one. Then there's another one that I'm working on with this really creepy guy, that actually, I better not give up too many details. I don't want to get out there. But so I'm working on some really, really good stuff, man. And it just made me think. Because I was watching, I'm into those YouTube predator catcher videos, I pretty much watch them as much as I can. And I had one of the guys, Colorado Ped Patrol, on the show, Tommy Fellows. I had him on the show. And then after he got off the show, we had some chats back and forth. I tried to contact, before I even had Tommy Fellows as a guest on the show, I contacted so many of those YouTube channel people. And I contacted him and I says, look, man, I can help you put together prosecution-ready reports, okay? That when you go out there and do this, you can, you'll have a report ready when you hand it over to the cops, or even if the cops don't want to take your report, we can take these reports directly to the district attorney's office, and these are prosecution-ready reports. I can guarantee them. So Tommy took my advice, partially at first, okay, and he put together a binder with his case, and step-by-step things I showed him how to do. Then things that I was trying to advise him to do, I can tell that the local cops and the local prosecutors have advised him to do, and now he's doing it. And since then, now even though I went to all these different guys and I'm trying to tell them how to do this, and some of them just blew me off totally, now that they see Tommy doing it and then he's successful with it, there's like another 10 of these guys out there doing it that way as well. So now Tommy's got like 300 cases. So I really feel happy, and satisfied that, I got one guy to take my advice, and they won't listen to me, but they're copying him. It's a significant number of these cases out there being brought. So I'm very happy about that. Okay. Let's see. Check these notes. I got to check my notes now at two different places. But really, I want you to stay the fake collectors. Yeah, I'm going to have time enough for this, man. This note thing is really pissing me off. I think it was 5. They indicted 5 fake electors in Nevada, okay? And one of them is Mike McDonald, okay, who's this former cop who bullied his way to the head of the GOP party down there, okay? This guy's a bully. All of these 5 fake electors in Nevada, I know all of them. I've been in the same room with all of them. They would recognize me immediately. If we're not friends, trust me that, but they know who I am and I know who they are. This is huge, okay? To take down indict the entire leadership of the Republican Party in the state of Nevada pretty much takes that swing state and swings it blue, okay? And you can say, hey, that's dirty politics, okay? But the thing is, what they did is forgery. They fraudulently forged official election documents claiming that they were the actual electors. Now, in some of the other states, like Pennsylvania and I think Minnesota, the other two, they put a little clause in there saying that, hey, in the future, if it turns out that it's proven that the original electors are fraudulent, then we'll be the electors. So they're not prosecuting those cases. But I got a little tip for you, a little inside information for you. Kenneth Cheeseborough is going to be testifying Monday in Arizona, and you can see an indictment for 11 guys in the state of Arizona as early as Monday, as early as Tuesday. Okay, I predicted on Twitter and Facebook it was going to be Monday, and I'll stick with that. Okay, I think it's going to be Monday. I think you're going to see an indictment of 11 guys in Arizona Monday. Arizona's another close state. It's another swing state. I happen to know the Republican Party is broke over there. Okay, so right out the bat, you got a problem down there. But now that you have all these characters, and Florida too, another swing state, right? And what do you got here? The GOP chair, he's under indictment, for rape. And what happens is, people say, well, Ed, it's not a big deal. Another chairman just steps right in. This close to a national election, okay, to replace the whole top staff of the chair. They have relationships with pollsters that they pick, with the organizers that they pick, that they have relationships with for years. These aren't strangers that they're just meeting right away. So when you change suddenly, and there's contracts with these old crew of pollsters and organizers and printers and all this other kind of stuff like that, it's just not the same. It's just not the same. This is a huge disruption to a campaign. So you got Nevada going down. You got Colorado going down. By the way, too, Colorado, a lot of people aren't watching it, but there's a whole Supreme Court case going on right now in Colorado, live on YouTube, whether Trump has the standing to run after trying to pull a coup. And people don't watch it. They're not paying attention to this stuff. And then they wonder why they keep losing all over the joint. Don't forget our TikTok, guys. We need volunteers for TikTok. It's so important. I really do need volunteers, guys. Right now, Christmas time is when the advertising revenue is highest, so I desperately need to drive traffic over to TikTok. So that's about we got to about 80% of my 80% of my notes. Okay, what are you gonna do? But if you can help out with the TikTok guys out there, I need people to help make the videos, to take audio from the shows and then use clips from the news or even like a still image and just make the little TikToks for me. And I'll post them. All right, guys, coming up after this first one will be Lev Parnas, okay, who was Rudy's partner. He was on the plane with Sean Hannity. Rudy was supposed to be on that plane. They were heading to Vienna to pick up a laptop that was prepared, a Hunter Biden laptop from Vienna that was prepared by the Russian FSB, okay? He talks about the coup in Venezuela. So many stuff. I can't even remember everything we talked about, but it's a great interview, man. He's coming back. He's got a lot of information, a lot of dirt. So first is Lev Parnas, then David K. Johnston after that. Okay, guys? Thank you so much. Good night. Need those TikToks. Oh, God, my ears are ringing. Oh.